Welcome to the Grit for Life, Grit Nation workshop series. The video you are about to watch was originally recorded as a live recording on our Facebook group. You will hear me talk to different individuals who are jumping into the conversation, into the video. What we're doing now is we are taking these videos and bringing them over to our YouTube channel so that those who did not do the workshop have the opportunity to still be able to hear and listen and learn from our content. Well, good morning and welcome to the day one of the mini-series. You tell I've not had enough coffee this morning. This is day one of the W.A.R mini workshop. I'm going to see if anyone's going to come on here live, give you a chance. But if not, you can watch this on the replay. But I want to talk to you today about a few different things as we get ready for this week. What's up, Amy? Good to see you. This being day one, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to hit the ground running with some things I want you to do, some things I want you to look at, things I want you to start focusing in and zeroing in on your life. The difference with this workshop compared to some of the other workshops that we've done is, one, we only have 1 week. Technically, I have 5 days, Monday through Friday, to really get you going, to really get you moving, and to get you thinking, to be able to present the thought and the tools and the mindset that I want you to walk away from by the end of this week with. And that can sometimes be difficult because sometimes there's a lot I want to share. What we're going to do is we're going to try to dive in. Another thing is we're going to be more personable. I'm going to try my best. It's going to be a little difficult, but at least for today and tomorrow, I am going to try my best to have the opportunity to do this live so that I can actually talk with you and actually be able to speak with you for those who are watching this live. Now, with that, I don't know, the mind portion of it won't always be right up in the morning because of my schedule. But here we are. So let's take a look. Let's go to W.A.R. What do we look at? What do we want to look at? What do we need to look at? What is it going to be when we start thinking about war? Fighting with our mind, our body, our soul. Why would we want to do that? First of all, I think it's important to understand that we just don't go to war just to go to war, just to fight. We should never have the mentality to, you probably have heard the statement, choose your battles wisely. And I would say, even add to that, just choose your battles, period. You don't always need to fight. You will waste energy. We do so many times waste energy attempting to fight battles that we don't really need to fight. I tell my kids a lot that I said, hey, that there are certain things that we deal with as a family, and I'm teaching my children. And I said, hey, we don't need to fight that battle right now. And they looked at me and they said, what, Dad? I said, we don't need to fight that battle right now. And the reason we don't need to fight that battle right now is we're going to waste our energy. Choose your battles wisely. And when it comes to learning how to live focused, learning how to live mind, body, and soul, which is what we're going to really take a look at. And I want you to really grasp a hold of this week. One of the best things I can tell you is to learn to choose your battles wisely. Don't fight battles that don't need to be fought. Don't become a victim just to become a victim. Don't cry wolf. Willingly accepting responsibility. War. How do we use that to build our life? How do we use that to apply to our life. And what we want to take a look at today is this. When I began to truly take a look at the concept of, I'm tired of being just reactive. I want to be proactive. I am tired of feeling like I don't have control. I am tired of feeling as if life is happening to me instead of I am controlling the things that I need to control in life. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And I see there's a couple people watching. I don't know what's the live's kind of been messing up lately in the aspect of any response or anything like that. So I see a few of you are watching, but it doesn't tell me who. So when really starting to take a look at how to get into this, let's dive in. How do we live with a life that we can control? How do we live a life to its fullest? How do we go to war with ourselves every day and already determined to set out to predict the outcome? It is by taking charge and learning how to control the battlefield. As a soldier, we always in today's post, on day one post where it talks about the body portion, the soul portion, I talk about you controlling the battlefield, and I talked about training how you will fight and fight how you've trained. And that is so important when you take a look at our life, because people every single day that I talk to, every single day, they don't want to do the hard stuff. They want it to be easy. They want the answers to be easy. They instead, because being a victim and playing a victim and living the role of a victim in your life is easy. You don't have to do anything. Everything's done to you, or at least perceived to be done to you. I lived this way for years. I lived the victim role. I'm an angry person because of what happened when I was a kid. I'm an angry person because of my upbringing. I'm an angry person because people bullied me, or I treat people this way because of this, or I can't accomplish what I want to accomplish because the world has always put me down. That is a negative victim mindset. And you are already entering into the battlefield as a POW of your own mind. You are already entering into war as a prisoner of war of your own mind, your own excuses, your own thoughts. It takes a real soldier, a real person with fortitude and willingness to go to war with themselves, of taking the responsibility of every single day and every single moment. When I finally learned, listen, my response is my responsibility. And I started diving into that, and I started asking myself, what does that mean? I'm going to war with myself today. I am going to go to war. I am tired of living out of control. I am tired of making excuses. I am tired of not mentally being where I need to be. I am tired of it. How do we do that? How did I do that? How do we do that? How do we go to war? We have to analyze. Before we go to war, before a soldier goes to war, someone above them or themselves has taken a look at the battlefield and analyzed it. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What do we have that we can control, and what can we not control? Living a life at war with yourself, learning how to properly fight, to build yourself into a soldier of mind, body, and soul. It takes some honesty, it takes some truth, it takes some integrity. What I want you to focus on today is this. And this is where it's going to start really getting hard. I want you to start taking a look at the things in your life I'm trying to figure out how to do this because this is a 1 week thing. What is it that's holding you back? What is it that you have allowed? And you know it. When I start talking about this, there's something that starts playing in your mind. It may be, what are the excuses? And I want you today to determine, I'm going to war with myself. I'm going to war to win. I am no longer walking onto this battlefield this week of life where I am constantly accepting defeat. How do I do that? Where am I making excuses? Where am I accepting excuses in my life? You say, I don't understand, Nate. Our mind has allowed we've allowed our mind to condition us into many times an unknown version of defeat. It is like a prisoner who is walking around in a prison with no walls, no wire. Everyone else sees them and goes, oh, that's a free person. But in reality, they're not, because somewhere along the way, they accepted excuses to become comfortable where they're at, or excuses for the things that aren't right in their life that they feel they have no power to change, or the excuses because their mind doesn't want to face the reality that they actually do have control and they have the strength. They just have to accept the responsibility. I had to learn to accept the responsibility. I've shared with you, and I think every single one of you have taken a Grit for Life course. And I've shared with you my story. It wasn't until I finally had to take the responsibility to say, my response is my responsibility to my mother. My response is my responsibility to the failed marriages. My response is my responsibility to the anger. I no longer will make excuses. And I start looking back and analyzing. We learn to go to war. We learn for the future battles by taking a look at the battles that we already fought, whether we won or lost. And many times, things that we thought we might have won, we actually didn't, because we didn't accept our role in it. Now, the danger of that is this today. As I challenge you to take a look back, and I want you, whatever moment, whatever it is, whatever you're using, whatever thing is in your mind that you, when I say, what is that moment or moments you gave up? What is the moment where something happened to you that changed your life? You stopped. You can go back and say, I stopped fighting. What is the moment where you became a prisoner of war to your mind, body, and soul's excuses? You're thinking about it right now. I told you we were going to be getting hard. But this is the part that I want you to take a look at. Your response is your responsibility. I am not saying that what happened to you is your fault. And I'm not saying that even depending on how it happened and what happened at the time, your response, right or wrong, was your fault. You say, but you always say my response is my responsibility. Yeah, but if you didn't know that at the time, let me give you an example. When I look back at the moment that I was molested, the first time, I can tell you, I remember everything about it. I remember the place, I remember the smells, I remember the incident, I remember everything that took place. Later, when I would look back at it, I became angry and I became trapped within my soul because I was looking back at, let's say, I remember specifically when I was 18 years old. I was looking back with the mindset of an 18-year-old. More maturity, more understanding of the world, more strength. So I was looking back with more information than what I had when I was an 8-year-old. But what I had to understand is, as an 18-year-old looking back, I was getting mad at the 8-year-old for not fighting back. I was starting to think it was the 8-year-old version of me's fault that it happened. And my mind began to trap me in this constant thing. Well, of course, my response is my responsibility. So at 8 years old, what my responsibility. I should have taken care of that. I should have said no. I should have done that. No. First of all, I'm looking back with more wisdom than I had at 8 years old. I have learned a lot more than I knew at 8 years old. I didn't have the strength, the fortitude, or the mental capacity or understanding at 8 years old that I do at 18 or even now looking back. When we look back at the things that changed our lives, our response is our responsibility today. Today. You follow me with that? I don't care if it's a parent that told you weren't good enough. A parent that told you would never make it, and so you've accepted it, and you've never achieved anything that you wanted to achieve in your life because a parent told you couldn't do it. Or I don't know if you can. I don't care if it's a significant other that tore you down. I don't care if it's a boss. I don't care if it's a family heritage that says, we just aren't that way. We're white trash. We just country folk and we don't know, we just don't live that way. Or even more, we're people of money. We don't go do that. I don't care what it was where you believed the lie and became a POW of that lie, then we can't change then. I can't change the way my mother raised me. I can't change the way that my mother taught me. I can't change and get back the years from that I lost because of not understanding and having the wisdom to be able to pull myself up and go to war from the molestation, from the religious suffocation, through all that stuff that I went through. I can't change it. But what I am able to do now is look back. And from the moment that these things happened to the time that I am at today, I've learned a lot. And now I'm going to war with the habits and the mindset that I have built up around me to accept and say, today my response is my responsibility. Today I'm going to war, willingly accept responsibility for the things that I need to change, can change, able to change today. It's going to require me to look back and look at some of the negative things that I've done. It's going to require me to look back and look at the negative habits of when I really began to take a look. I had to learn, okay, I have become complacent in life. I have become to where I just accept. That's just the way it is. I never challenged myself past that's the way it is. My response is my responsibility. I rise up. I stand up. I go to war and I take a look at the future and I say, this is where I can be. Forget what other people say. Forget. I don't care. They're not me. I am my own person. I'm going to war with myself. Here's where I'm going to go. This is what I want to see. This is the vision I have. I don't care if you say I'm too old. I don't have enough time in my life. You've lived the years. I don't care. You're not me. My response is my responsibility. I don't care if they say, man, you could never get past what people have done to you. You're right. My response is my responsibility. So guess what? I'm going to at least go to war and try to find out. Here I am today. This is what I've got. This is where I'm at. My response is my responsibility. When I finally figured out that I was growing up with a hatred toward people that had done things to me, but I was still living in the victimhood of it. My response is my responsibility. I'm going to war. Today is the day. So how do we do it? How do we do it? This is what I'm going to give you for today. This is what I want you to do today. What is holding you back? What has happened? What was your response at the time? Was your response at the time an okay response? Or it could have been better? Again, we can't change it. Understand that. But what has happened is you have been formed into the soldier that is going to war because of your response then, good or bad, based upon the knowledge you had then, based upon the events that were happening then. This is where it's really hard. You have to be able to look back and say, it's okay to look back. I'm not going to live there. It's okay if my response was exactly what most people would have done then. That's okay. But today's a different day, and today I've learned a lot. Today I've been through a lot of Grit for Life stuff. Today I've been through a lot. Today I've been through started this this workshop. It's okay. So look back, but don't live back. Look back, but don't live back. And then start asking yourself, what are the excuses that are holding you back? Where did they come from? Tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at really how to apply my response is my responsibility, your response is your responsibility as we go to war. So what I want you to write down in your journal today is this isn't just bullet points, my friends. This is digging deep. This is paperwork. This is you writing down saying, these events, it may be one event, it may be several events. This is where we start looking at the battlefield. We're building our battle map. Look back and say, first of all, remind yourself that I live here. I don't live there. Things that I did. Things that I'm going to do, I want to change. The way that I thought. Can't change that then, but I can change it today on how I allow it to affect me. How I allow it to set the course for my future. I'm going to war with myself. We're going to be looking at, I want you to write this stuff down. I want you to write the excuses down. And then I want you to start writing down, how does it affect you today? Each person is going to be different. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I want you to write down I want you to stop. You take a breath, grab a cup of coffee if you need to, and start writing it down. Now I'm going to give you my example. I want you to share yours. You're going to share yours in this workshop. Told you it wasn't going to be easy. My example. When I was finally ending I would say it kind of started with my second marriage, at the end of my second marriage, but definitely at the end of my third marriage. I was at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm ending my third marriage. This is not where I thought I would be. So I had arrived at a battlefield that I never thought I would be on. So follow me with this, okay? Because I want to kind of build the framework for you. I knew there'd be more battlefields because that's life. So I'm sitting in a battlefield called my third divorce. Feeling defeated, feeling worn out, feeling like I was unworthy. At the time, I was still fighting to have more access to my 2 younger kids. Lies have been shared about me. So that's the battle. That's the battle. Okay? How did I go to war with that? How did it build the concept that I'm teaching you this week? So there's the battle, there's the war. I stopped and said, how do I normally react to this? What's my pattern of fight? In order to win a battle against an enemy who knows how you fight, you have to change it. You have to change your fight. My mind is the enemy I'm going against. It knows me. It has spent, now to this day, it's been 45 years with me. It knows how I'm going to fight. Now I have to change up my battle. So what's the old way of fighting? That's what I'm asking you to do now. Look back. I look back and I go, okay, so my pattern is this. My pattern is I'm constantly looking, and this is me getting personal, folks. Because of growing up always looking for acceptance from my mother, and never feeling that I got it, never feeling I was good enough for her, always feeling like I was failing her, always feeling like I couldn't be enough, that my sisters were better than me. I look back and I realized that in my marriage, my first marriage, I was always doing things that would twofold push my first wife away, as well as trying to pull others into my life, other women, for looking for acceptance. And I counted my excuse. So there's the issue. The excuse was, I'm a good-looking guy. Women like to be around me. I'm a soldier. I'm an infantry soldier. I mean, we flirt, we joke, we play. I can't help it that these girls want to be around me. That was the excuse. So I have the battle, have the excuse. What was the outcome in that fight? The outcome in the fight was I was just surrendering. I was surrendering and sacrificing my family. And I didn't like myself because of it, which then I wasn't accepting myself because of it, which then just pushed back in that I wasn't worthy of acceptance, which then pushed right back into the cycle of excuses and the mindset of I never could do anything right. I would never achieve anything, which is exactly what I felt my mother used to tell me. And then now we're into my second marriage, which my second marriage was just extremely toxic, and it was a woman who constantly put me down. You see, I went into what I was used to, accepted what I was trying to run from, but I was comfortable with because my mind took me there. I was just being reactive instead of proactive. And so in that marriage, I became even more bitter. I became more understanding that I was worthless. I became more understanding that I would never accept anything. And then I would still flirt with other women. I would still attempt to draw other women's attraction or views toward me because I felt like I wasn't enough because of everything else. But then if you asked me, the excuse was I never felt like I was enough from my mother. I never felt like I was enough with my first wife, and now my second wife, I'm just not enough. And there are people out there who see that I'm enough. Those are all excuses. And when I'm claiming excuses, what am I not doing? Not accepting responsibility. So at the end of my third marriage, I sat there and looked. I did what I'm asking you to do. As I look back over my life, what are the patterns that I can perceive where I played the victim, where I said it was because somebody else, the patterns that built excuses that I allowed to become my fighting style, which basically allowed me to work right into the prisoner of war that I was trying to avoid. And then, now that I see it, how do I go to war? How do I willingly accept responsibility to change? So how did I? After my third marriage, I stopped. I started taking a look at what was I willing to accept. Only you can do that. I am a natural flirt. But it doesn't mean that I have to step outside and I'm a natural flirt, but I am not in the aspect of what I was using it for was not correct. I was using it to try to draw in acceptance, and I had not accepted myself. So I had to look. After my third marriage, I said, okay, here's the battlefield. What am I looking at? I am using my flirtations. I am using the pursuit of women. I am using the pursuit of the acceptance of women for what? To cover up the idea that I can't accept myself. I can't accept myself. I don't like me. Ouch. That's why I have the excuses. Okay, now see, the war has started. The first shot's been shot. I don't like me. Okay, I don't like me. All right. How does that affect? But I'm a good guy. No. Stop. You are a good guy, but you don't accept you. You don't even know the good parts about you because you won't look at you. You won't go to war with you. Okay. And so instead, what you would do is you will use women and other people's acceptance to try to fill that void that's not theirs to fill, and then you trap yourself into this cycle. Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that now. But no buts. Your response is your responsibility, Nate. No buts. So what are you going to do about it? Now that you know, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing really I can do because, no, there is. By saying nothing you can do, you are running away from the responsibility. Your response is your responsibility. You're running away from it. So what are you going to do? Well, I mean, my grandfather, we always joke my grandpa was a flirt, and he was, as far as I know, he was faithful to the same woman every day. But, he was, it's just that Parks charm. It's that, no, I'm not talking about your grandpa. I'm talking about you, Nate. Huh. My response is my responsibility to change my life and to build me into the individual that I know that I can be and want to be. No matter my past, no matter where I've been, no matter who's been there, no matter what people have done to me, today is the day. My response is my responsibility. I willingly accept my response. War, I'm going to war with myself. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I wanted to hear. Soldier, let's go to war. How do I do that? You've heard me say what I want you to do. You've heard me say what I want you to write in your soul portion. You've heard me talk about what is important for you to do today. This is just the beginning. We got 5 days of this. But today is the day that you determine to go to war. Today is the day you willingly accept responsibility, war. And say, no matter what I've been through, no matter what I've done, no matter my response at the time, we're not looking at your response at the time. We're looking at the excuses that your response has built. That is what we're looking at. What is the excuse? What is it that you've allowed yourself to believe that you can't do? Where did that come from? Who are you today? To end this, let me tell you. So for me, at that moment in that time, what I did is I stopped. I said, today's the day I go to war with myself. I accept responsibility. And so I dove in. I had fun. I had a hard time. I cried. I determined for me, because of a lot of it had to do with learning to accept myself. That was my war. And learning that I didn't have to live a life that was built upon other people. That was my war. I took time out. I determined that for a year, for me, I wouldn't get married. I wouldn't date seriously. I was going to try to find me. Because that was my war. Each person and each day, this is a tool, this is a pattern that we can apply every day. So it may be whatever it is that you're going to war with is going to look different each time. But for me, in this example, that war was learning to accept myself. Learning to get to know me. Really me. Not the me that my mom thought I was. Not the me that the guy who molested me thought I was. Not the me that the people in the world around me thought I was. The me who I knew I wanted to be. It was time for me to go to war to shape me. People go to war to shape new countries, to build up new governments, to free the imprisoned. That's what we're going to war for. We're going to war to build up a new version of you, to build up the version you were meant to be, to set free the prisoner within inside of you. But only you can do it. This is a special forces mission. So that journey began. And that journey allowed me to be able to find truly who I was. And so then when I met my wife now, I was able to actually sit down and look at her and say, I need you to understand this. This is who I am. This is how I am. This is where I'm at. This is what I've accepted for me and myself. And it, I mean, not like on the first date. It wasn't the first time, But this is who I am, and I'm very aware of who I am. I'm aware of my flaws. I'm aware of my mistakes. My response is my responsibility. I will understand that. This is ground zero. Go do you. Go to war with you. I'm here this week as we begin to dig deep. Tomorrow, we're going to even dig deeper. Tomorrow, we're going to start taking a look at willingly accepting responsibility and how it can shape our day, how it can shape our life, how it shapes our future. Right now, we got to find out where we came from. That's why I'm asking you to look back. And I want you to share your information, whether you just type it out and put it on paper and put it as a photo in the group, whether you write it out on a long post, however it is, you are responsible for writing the sole portion and talk about it in the group. We go to war, willingly accepting responsibility.